All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another coffee Q&A. This week we're here doing coffee with questions and answers. How y'all doing? Every Monday through Friday. Well, most Monday through Fridays, not all of them. This week will be one of those weeks. 10 a.m. Eastern. We're here talking about coffee. So if you have questions about coffee, drop them in the comments, or if you're watching the replay, drop them down below. You know that whole thing. So what's going on? How's everything doing? All right. So last Friday, when we did the last episode, a number of you were like, hey, there's a problem. There's two videos up running. And I was like, what are you talking? And I wasn't sure what was going on. And then I found out what was wrong. Okay, so for today's episode and on Friday's episode, I created these, files for them, thumbnails and files. And so when I'm going to YouTube to start them, they stack all the ones that I've scheduled. And I must have done them whatever order I did them in. I guess I clicked on the very top one, which was supposed to be today's video, today's stream, rather than Friday's stream. So it probably was showing you that the other video, the other stream was scheduled, or this stream was scheduled for Friday. And I had clicked on the stream that was scheduled for today, which meant that both were showing on your feeds. And if you were waiting to join the one that was supposed to be on Friday, you're just sitting there and nothing's happening. And that's probably what happened to you. My apologies on that. I realized that I totally mucked that up. Idea Studios BKK is with us. What's going on, man? Greetings and salutations from Krungtep Mahanakon. Krungtep Mahanakon, right? Is that correct? Was watching your channel today while sipping coffee with Keone. Glad to catch you. Wow, great to have you. Great to have you. Great to have your moms with us too. Good morning to you. So now we got that out of the way. We're going to go to our topic of the day, which is we're continuing our series called Americano, where we're taking different beverages or different liquids, and we're going to see, can we make it a decent Americano or a fun or great Americano out of it? Some things that are kind of out of the box. So I was at the local Latino market, this place called Tienda Mari, which is a really great Latino market close to where I live. They've got all this. They're really nice people, nice selection. And so I picked this up. This is another This is another beverage from a place called Buen Provecho, and they have this thing called coconut water with pulp. And so they've got the nata de coco that's hanging out. Now, as you can see here, kind of suspended in solution, which is an unusual thing. Like coconut water is, water. It's not very viscous. It's not heavy at all. It's not enough to suspend anything in it. And as you saw with the coconut milk that we had in the last episode, the nata de coco just precipitated out of it and fell to the bottom. But in this case, it is floating. So there's obviously some... Idea Studio says, I once made an Americano with bourbon. That's a great way to go. That's a great way to go. I was at a place called the Atmosphere, the Cohiba Atmosphere in Bangkok, quite a few years ago now. It's been a while. I didn't go there this time, but some of our buddies there are members at the club, and we were drinking. I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but I was drinking. What is it called? Spayburn Speyside, because we were smoking cigars, because Cohiba Atmosphere is a cigar club, and so we're there. And one of our friends is like, he said, I'm smoking a Monte number 2, Havana. And he's like, you should drink this. And I was like, what? It's like, okay. So I tried it. He's like, get the Spayburn Speyside because it has these salty notes because it's made on the coast, the salty coast of Scotland, that will match that cigar. And I got to say, one of the best cigar liquor pairings I've ever experienced. It was like truly like sublime, truly sublime. Keone says, aloha to you, Keone. How are you? And so we've got, so why is it like this? So there's actually some gellan gum in it. So they add some gellan gum, they add some coconut flavor, and sodium metabisulfite to do some, preservatives to keep it rolling. So it should be fairly nice. I mean, let's have a taste of that and see. what it is like. We've got a glass, and we're going to open it up. It's got that whole thing where you're like, it gets a little bit slick because it's sweating. Gosh, this thing doesn't want to. All right, there we go. Just going to put a little bit just so we have a taste of it. So the nata is still floating around. And idea says that I wonder if we can make an Americano out of an Americano. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so I think I feel about this the way that I feel about a lot of coconut waters that we have here in America. And that is, I don't know if I like it. Like when you drink like you guys know that are, especially those here in Asia who've been out to other parts of the country or world, the tropical areas like where they grow coconuts, and you have them, and they have the coconut, the green coconut, and they have it like, especially when they have it in the barrel that has all the ice and the water, and they're just soaking there, and then they hack it off, and they either pour it out or they shove a straw into it. There's this flavor of fresh coconut water that is just kind of clean. There's something about the bottling process of commercial coconut waters. This is fairly good, but there's just something about it that I'm never crazy about. Maybe this was a little bit sweeter. I want to say it's a little bit coating, but it doesn't. When I rub my palate, it's not like it's coating my palate really. But anyway, we're not going to get too bogged down in that thing. Americano out of Americano. I'm still trying to wonder. That sounds good. Viscous pour. Yeah, it is very viscous. So that gel and gum really gives it that viscosity that allows the nata, the coconut pulp, to be. Actually, this is not nata. This is actually coconut pieces. Looks like. Is that right? Yeah, coconut pulp. That is real coconut pulp. It allows it to be suspended in the solution. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try it out. See what it is. And we're going to use our Espresso 99. I went and got some fresh stuff from the roastery so that we would have it be nice and fresh. Because I think the other one might have been getting a little bit old. I don't know how old the other one was, but it was definitely getting up there. So let's get this together. Whoa. Uh-oh. Why are you turning off? Okay, I think that'll work. I don't know what happened. There we go. So we're just going to take our grinder. I'm going to fill it up with coffee. Just going to pour the whole thing in. That way we have, enough that we don't have to worry about. Like on Friday, we were worried about will we run out of coffee? Okay, so I cleaned out the grinder before we started the live stream, and made sure that everything was cleared out of it, and now we're going to start fresh. So there's some presumptions I will make that may be different than you at home. Here or at the shop, we're using pretty much the same espresso constantly, right? So it may be something that we're reformulating throughout the year as far as the actual components that goes into it. But for more or less, it's going to be relatively stable as far as the coffee. Now, which means that I typically don't have to worry, or typically don't have to adjust as much the grind setting, right? From day to day, week to week, month to month. Because we're using similar densities of coffee, similar roast profiles. Now, if you're in a situation where you are, like a lot of you I know are, enthusiasts. So you're switching coffees, trying new stuff to be, that you find exciting or just interesting. Your procedures may be a little bit different in that you may have to adjust more. Okay, so idea says that if even fresh coconut, if it sits too long, it tastes. Okay. Peter's with us. Oh, hello. I like that, Peter. I'm glad to see you, by the way. Glad to see you. I know you have some other stuff in the world. Keone says there is coconut water that is sold in green label bottle that is pretty good, but I don't think it's available. Oh, okay. I will try to look for that. They might have it at the Asian market here. The one in the square paper container. And then Peter says roasted Thai coconut. Oh, I haven't even. I don't even know what that is. I've not seen anything like that. No, it's not the one in the paper container, but it comes in a glass bottle. Okay. All right. So let's go to this. We're going to take off. We're going to take off our lid here so we can see what's going on. Okay, we got the machines all heated up. Now, what I'm just going to do is basically we're just going to start off by pulling a shot just to see where the grind is, where the coffee grinds at the current grinder burr distance setting, because this just gives us a baseline. Now you could go through this whole procedure where you crank down the burrs until they start to touch, and then you adjust from there. But that's more involved, and you'll burn more coffee. And why do that when you can just kind of start quickly, right? Quickly is the Devin Torres. That's what's going on. I misread the title. Is CocoCano. We could try to do something like that. Maybe the next time I go down to Colombia, we can do a live stream about that. All right, so let's have a look here. Okay, so we're just gonna start off by grinding. Make sure the portafilter is nice and clean. A little bit more. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I did push more than I like, right? So I'm really looking to about 21 grams or so. So I'm just going to knock a little bit off, clear that up a little bit. Make sure we're to flush to keep the water so that it's not so boily. As you can see, the steam being generated shows that we're a little bit at the boiling point of the water path. So we're going to flow through that until it kind of slows down a bit. Like right about now is good. I'm going to go in. Let's see how it looks. Well, we're getting good resistance, I think, because it's taking a long time to come out. Now, it's stalling. So we will stop that. So we've got a stall. So it's showing us that it's too fine. Let's have a look here at the puck. So as you can see, the puck is pretty solid, right? As far as like the indentation goes. But it has not been, it's really just slow. All right, let's try this again. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is that we're going to make some changes. Now, on a grinder, there's going to be hash marks, and typically with numbers. Those are really completely arbitrary. Like a lot of people will talk about, and I see people on the Comandante forums and stuff like that. They talk about, this setting and that setting. Actually, since I don't own a Comandante, I don't really know. But in my experience with commercial grinders, a lot of grinders, the numbers on grinders are really arbitrary, strictly arbitrary. They don't really have a correlation necessarily from one grinder to the next. I could have, even when we have two of the same grinders lined up, we don't train our staff to think about it in terms of the numbers that are on the collars, right? Because on this particular grinder, the Mazda Major, the numbers are here, and then you have these little like, oh, you can't really see that, can you? You have these numbers, the numbers are here, and then there's like these kind of like knurlings here that are kind of like hash marks, so you can kind of adjust. You can kind of use that as a reference point if you want. But again, these are arbitrary, and depending on how, like it takes a lot of twists, a lot of full rotations of the collar to set it into place. So you never even know what rotation you're in. So using the numbers as an absolute reference point is not ideal. Just kind of use it on your own. So for example, right now, this is the 0, this is the 2. So the 1 is right about there, I think, right? It's covered by this sticker. Now, there are these little marks. So there's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's say there's 10 between each one, which makes sense. European made, so they follow this metric kind of idea of base 10 on everything. So what we need to do, we're too fine, right? Right now, this grind is way too fine because it's stalling the machine. So we need to release the pressure. We need to reduce the resistance of the coffee to the water. And we do that, we could do that in a couple ways. We could do that by reducing the amount of coffee, which we will not be doing. We want to use the same amount of coffee all the time. So really the thing that we want to do is when we're working with espresso is work with our skills to create consistent and even, like for example, we want to use the same dose, we want to use the same amount of water, the same temperature, same everything. What we want to leave for changing that we can adjust is the grind setting, right? We want to be able to adjust the grind. And by creating a finer grind, we create more resistance because it gets closer packed, right? It's tighter packed. Then by coarsening up the grind, we create more space between the particulates so they don't pack as tightly and we get more flow. And that's what we need to do. We need to go a little bit coarse. Now, as you saw, we didn't get, in the time that we're waiting, we didn't get any dripping out of the portafilter whatsoever, right? We saw some of it, some oils pooling at the bottom when we knocked out the puck, but that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go maybe just a little bit more adjustment than I would normally do in most situations because we need to go a little bit further, right, to make sure that we get flow. So let's have a look. Okay. So on this particular grinder, rotating this way is finer, rotating this way is coarser. So because we're rotating coarser and we're separating the space between the burrs rather than compacting or making them closer, we can do this adjustment without the machine running. If we're going to go closer with the burrs, then we need to turn the grinder on so that it's always grinding and pushing the coffee out. Otherwise, there's just coffee like, occupying that space. Okay, so we're just going to adjust here slightly like that. As you can see, that was actually a really short twist of it. So it's not terribly a lot. And that should give us quite a dramatic result. Now we just got to presume that there's a whole bunch of coffee that's in here. We just need to grind through that and get to fresh coffee. Okay, so I think that's fresh. Now you might be wondering, why do I keep this collar here? Which is, as those of you who know, the problem with this particular setup is that the Mazda Major is, and this La Marzocco portafilter with this piece, it is a little bit tight right here. Although it might work. Oh yeah, see it. I like to push it in further, and the way that it's chamfered doesn't really make it conducive to that. Okay, so that's all right. Let us see where we're going this time. Let's see if we get some flow. Oh, we might have stall still. Oh yeah, there we go. We're definitely going to adjust a little bit more in the grind. Ooh. Yeah, definitely. Maybe even a little bit more. Okay. So we're definitely taking oh, goodness. My apologies on that. I don't know when it went out, but our shot is very short, very tight, and not terribly. I mean, I think it looks good. I think it looks pretty good overall. I think we're going to get a lot of bitters. As you can see, the volume is very low. This is really much more of a ristretto style of shot than anything else. And as you can see, there's a little bit of blonding here, some bubbling, some burbujas, some a little bit there. Probably could have stopped a little sooner. Yeah, astringent, not so pleasant. Not what we're looking for, but definitely. But I did adjust the grind. I don't know if you had seen that on the thing. But hang on a moment. We're going to need that camera. So I'm going to grab a battery because it would be a shame not to have the camera for reference. And while I have the camera set up there, and it does have, what do you call it? It does have a power line to it. The problem is I think these cameras, when even though they're charging up there, I think the battery that's in there is relatively low. So that always means that you have to have, with this particular camera that I'm using in this position, which is the Sony ZV-1, it needs to have, see, it's connected, but it needs to have, what do you call it? It needs to have battery power in order to stay on. So we need to replace the battery. This particular camera is actually the A camera for most of everything that I'm doing. So if you've seen videos on the main channel, almost 100%, it was shot mainly with this camera, which has really been this is the Sony ZV-1. It's really been an amazing workhorse, really nice and compact. So it allows me to, go to places and talk to people with very little impact or a relatively little impact because it's so small, right? So especially compared to me, it's kind of small. I can keep it here in this position and talk to the person and during my visits, and it's relatively inobtrusive, which is something that I really thought was important and that I've really come to favor over the last 2 years or 3-4 years of using this camera. Let's put that back in its mount. Turn this sucker back on. Okay, I think we're good. How's that look? That doesn't look like anything. What is going on there? Oh, there we go. Okay. Dana says that a ZV-1 is a great camera. I use it as my pocket. Yeah, I love this camera. It's totally. I have the first version. It's PD over micro USB, which is a slow change. Oh, gotcha. So even running it power off, you can run down. Oh, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, and that's the one that the three you talk about, the internal ND. That's the one thing when the ZVE10 and then eventually the CVE1 came out. That's the one thing that prevented me from getting it. Plus, those have interchangeable lenses. The bodies are a little bit bigger, and so my kit becomes more complex. But what I was really irritated with Sony about doing is that they don't have internal NDs on the other ZV series. I'm like, that's the key. To me, that's the key because it allows you so much more flexibility while shooting. The one annoying thing that I keep asking the guys at Sony whenever I see them at NAB if they're ever going to do it, is that when you adjust, if you do manual shooting on the scroll wheel, you hit the bottom, and it toggles between your shutter frame rate, as well as your iris. And half of the time that I hit the wheel is it has switched to the shutter speed, and I'm like, man, I just want you to lock that shutter speed. If I can just lock it at 150 and never have to worry about it, and just use that wheel to like just adjust the f-stop, that's what I want. That's what would make it an amazing camera. But they won't listen to me. Sony doesn't care what I think. All right, let's go back to our how's that look? Do we look okay? Okay, good. We look okay there. Let's get rid of this. A little bit of overshot there. All right, so I did adjust the grind slightly, or actually maybe more than slightly. And let's get the coffee going. Ouch. That was a little bit hotter than normal. Oh, that's good. All right, here we go. Let's see. We are slow too here. I think we still need to go a little more coarse. Wow, we got a lot of coarse going on. Yeah, definitely. We're not at the... Phil in DeBlanc says that espresso machine reminds me of Element. And it says that Sony cams are in general cheaply made from my... I can't say that Sony cams are that bad. I think I found this one to be a workhorse. Like and lately, I've really been beating the heck out of it, because like I've been working in the workshop at my friend's place, and we've been sanding and cutting wood for the new shop. And it's like, I've got a photo where the camera's completely coated. And this is not like a one-time thing. This has been ongoing for the last like couple months. The cameras are getting totally like coated in sawdust. And I'm actually, or sanded dust. I'm like, is this thing going to like, I'm waiting for the cameras to like die from it. All right, so there's our shot. Not too bad looking. The volume's a little bit low. I think we could definitely, I did adjust it to a little more coarser to get a little bit more out of it. Getting there. Not quite what I want. It's a bit thin and a little bit bright. So what we want to do is we want to go back and let me just rinse these out. Because, we're looking for more body, a little more cacao, a little more fruitiness to it that we like. So let's get back to it. One of our viewers on Friday was like, mentioned how it took me an hour to make the one drink. And I was like, I think he enjoyed it. And I was like, okay, well, we're just trying to, talk about things. All right, here we go. Wrong camera. All right, so there we go. We're going to dry up the grinder and the quart in the basket. I think now that was too fine, too coarse. The way that it's coming out of the grinder, I think, makes me think that it's too coarse right now. So this may be a day when we're going to be chasing our grind setting. Or maybe not. Okay, that's flowing better. Actually, that might not be bad. Should probably zoom in. Oh gosh, paying attention to the zoom, and I'm not paying attention to the shot. All right, let's go over here. Idea says that I keep my camera in shutter priority and disable the toggle in the menu. That's probably a good idea, but I don't know. I like to run in manual. That's just how I'm used to. That's all. All right, let's have a look here. So not bad looking. Actually, that looks pretty darn good. Nice reddish brown crema, not too much over extraction. Let's taste. Oh, some fruit, some brightness. Good body. I still think that the coffee itself, we roasted this coffee. I think this particular batch we roasted like a week ago. So I think it's still young. I think in like 2 more weeks, this will be really great. And Phil in the Blanc says that Nova Simonelli made the Elomatic before the more popular. Ah, okay. I'm not too familiar with the Elomatic. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty good, huh? Phil, looks pretty good. And Dana says, I run my FX3 in manual, but my ZV1 does a lot better in shutter priority. The control. That's probably better. Speaking of fat thumbs. Ooh, FX3. I only have the FX30. And the sad thing is the FX30 I almost never use. It's really a shame. It's really a shame. Only because it's like, it's just so much bigger than the ZV1. Now I did, and I rigged it all up with like, cage and like, what do you call it? 15 millimeter rods and mat box and a monitor and, V-mount batteries and all this stuff. I mean, it looks really cool, right? It looks really cool, but it's like, man, what am I doing? Why am I doing? Like, I don't have a camera crew, right? Yeah, it's great rigged up like that. And like you see all the YouTubers do it. They love it. And I'm like, I come from a motion picture background where you had 4 people working in the camera department running the camera, and that's what you really need to do that kind of thing. Why would I want? So I finally stripped it all down to just like basically a handheld. And I'm trying to fall in love with it and like really use it more. But it's still kind of big compared to the ZV1. All right, so let's go do our drink. We're going to take our fresh glass. That's not a fresh glass. We're going to take a fresh glass. An idea says, I thought about getting the FX30 for a B cam or for taking on motorbike trips. Well, I think they're on sale right now, aren't they? The FX30s? Could be a good thing to take with you. All right, so let us do we got a glass. We're going to take this. We're going to pour. About that much. That should give us enough headroom for some. I mean, that's probably a little bit too much, actually. If I look at it, that is a bit too much. Okay, that's good. Cheers, everybody. So we're going to pull the shot directly in this. Like I said before, I'm the kind of person that likes to pull shots directly into the vessels, because if we were to transfer, let's say if we pull the shot into another vessel like this, as we pour out, now granted that wasn't fully, a full shot, but like you leave this crema behind, right? This is what I don't like. I mean, I want to keep the crema so that the guest can get all the crema possible in the drink, right? Because to me, the crema is part of the experience, right? The whole shot is everything. So to lose part of it seems a shame to me. Now, where we will make those adjustments, like in this case, because you're kind of limited by your physical limitations of the espresso machine, right? Like this particular espresso machine, the La Valentina E61, doesn't have a huge gap here. Like my La Marzocco Linea, I can fit a 16-ounce cup underneath the group head. I can't even fit a 12-ounce cup underneath this group head because it's so small. It's really designed to be an espresso machine, right? With just enough fall for the espresso. So in this particular case, I'm using let's have a look at that, Paco. So, very little over extraction. But in this particular case, this Lombrosoco portafilter, this is their stainless portafilter that has machined leveler here, and you can remove the spout. We're going to remove the spout for this. That way we can fit our glass nicely underneath, so we can pull the shot completely onto the you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. A little bit messy here, goodness. This is what I don't like about white countertop. White countertops are terrible for espresso because it's just making you look messy, and you can never really stay on top of it. What I think might be all right is with marble. You know how marble has those like waviness in the grains? I think that would probably be okay. Okay, good. Now we're ready to go. Lock and load. Hopefully this works correctly. Go underneath it. Now we're just going to let it shoot all the way in. Come on, baby. Okay, here we go. All right, so as you can see, well, you can't really see it, sorry, but it is spreading across the top, and that's what we want. Now, this one is a little bit more viscous or less viscous than the coconut milk, I think. Or no, maybe it's the same. I don't know, but it's interesting. There is part of it that is falling. Oh, stop. Falling into, yeah, see a lot of valao here, so I can't, like, I'm making mistakes. But I don't know if you can see this here, but some of it has cascaded down into, well, that's kind of fascinating. Let me just get some thumbnail photos, or not really thumbnails, but just like. So we've got this interesting pattern of it's harder to see that way, right? But look at that. Fascinating. All right, look at that. That's kind of cool looking. It's kind of cool. Now, from the top, it's kind of ugly. Like this is something to consider. Like it's just ugly. It's just ugly. Like if you, as the guest, you know, you're sitting there, you're being served this drink, you're like, what is that? That just looks all coagulating and like all kinds of like strain. No, it's not coagulating, but you know, does that look? Do you want to put this in your mouth? Like, do you see that and you're like, oh, I want to put that in my mouth. I don't know if I do. Maybe it needs whipped cream or something. An idea says only shoots vertical IG stories on a Leica rangefinder in full manual. Wow, really? Leica. That's pretty sexy. Like we were looking at some Leicas last week at the what I like about the new Leicas, right? They're so expensive. Like they're so ridiculously expensive. But gosh, they feel so nice. Like what is that new the new like SLR type, the IG50 or whatever? Oh my God, like that rubberized coating, whatever that coating is, just tactile feel of it is just like, oh my gosh. Now, picture quality, is it any better? I don't know, but man, I'm just like, oh God, this is cool. Actually, I was just looking at a lens, a Leica mount lens that they have an adapter for to Sony E-mount. The 7 something lens, it's a 1.4, 50 millimeter. It's got that, and I was looking through it on the FX30, and I was like, wow, that actually looks really nice. I was so tempted to buy it. It's like $250 used, and I was like, but what am I going to use it for? I mean, that's like I've got no use for it. Yeah, it looks like a lava lamp, Peter says. It looks like a lava lamp. Yeah. Okay, so let's give it a taste and see what it's like. So similar in experience with the coconut milk version, where it's kind of warm on top, lightly sweet. Now the coconut milk I think was sweeter, so this is a lighter, sweeter, and we've got the pieces of coconut pulp. Since it's suspended, I got some in the first sip. Compared to the coconut milk version, this is much more subdued, much more of a softer experience, a chewy experience, a boba kind of experience. Actually, kind of pleasant and fun and interesting looking. Like this is the kind of thing you don't want to stir because it gives you this kind of interesting look. Oh, I'm getting behind. I'm getting behind. And Devin's with us. What's up, Devin? How are you, man? Good to see you. I thought of a dessert idea: Japanese sweet potato pie, the white one. Ooh, I was just listening to a podcast not too long ago where they were talking about sweet potatoes, Japanese style sweet potatoes, where they said take the potato, put it in the freezer, freeze it, and then cook it the way you normally would cook it. And it's supposed to make the sweet potato much more creamy, much more unctuous. I've got some freezing in the. I've had them freezing there for like a month. I keep forgetting to actually make them. And Idea says, someone asked me if I wanted to put something in my mouth on Soy Cowboy. Ooh, that could be quite interesting, depending on which bar you happen to go to. Oddly enough, one of my really good friends, he lives around the corner from Osok Station. And a lot of times when I'm there, he's like, let's have a cigar. All right. And since he lives right by Osok, I mean, he lives really quite literally around the corner from Soy Cowboy. So we smoke at this bar in Soy Cowboy. What is it called? It's kind of halfway. It's kind of in the middle. I can't remember the name, but it's a nice place. They're regulars there. So like, or they regularly smoke cigars there. So nobody really bothers us. The girls leave us alone, which is kind of nice because nobody's touting on you. But it's right across the soy from one of the Ladyboy bars. So it's like, interesting. This place is very interesting. So we go from extremes. We'll go from a bar on Soy Cowboy, and then we'll go to a place like, we'll have a cigar one night at Soy Cowboy, and then the next night we'll have a cigar like the next night we were smoking cigars at what's that place? The Kempinski Hotel over. We went to eat at this place because I wanted to check it out called Rongsa Pochana, and then we went. And Rongsa Pochana is right next door to the Kempinski Sindhorn, Hotel. So we walked over to the Sindhorn. They've got a bar there with a cigar lounge in the back. So it's like tales of extremes when I go to Bangkok with the same people. It's like one night we're at the Soy Cowboy, one night, which is like, super like raunchy touristy. And then the next night it's like, oh, we're super fancy at the Sindhorn Kempinski. It's really kind of a strange experience, but this is actually quite nice. It's cleaner, smooth, lightly sweet. Actually, this would be fun to drink. These could be fun offerings at the new Spro. Gosh. Yeah, it kind of looks like a lava lamp. Agreed. And Phil's saying maybe add a dollop of steamed milk. Oh, that could be. I don't have any milk to steam at the moment. And this steamer, I don't know if I like it or not. Like the steam one, I mean, I'm just so used to La Marzocco, right? The big lineas or the big machines. So there's so much steam power that it really throws the milk in your pitcher. This one doesn't have that much oomph. So it's like, it takes longer to build. So you really have to honestly, I think using a 20-ounce pitcher to steam milk for a 12-ounce drink is too much for this. Like if you're using a 12-ounce pitcher to make a 6-ounce cappuccino, I think it works better. I just don't know where the smaller pitchers are at the moment, but we'll have to play with more of that in some future episodes. Dana says, I don't shoot Leica. Keone Nuda does. Oh, I got that. I don't have the... Well, the guy is the master. He's the master. What? But they are. Those Leicas are super sexy. I'm just like, if one day, if I can be like Bill Gates, I will totally buy Leica. It would be like to have a whole group of Leica cameras, right? Leica cameras and Festool woodworking tools. That would be. And then like Hilti power tools. Oh, that would be nice. That's the dream. That's the dream. Keone has a Canon 50mm 0.95 f-stop Canon lens converted to a Leica mount. Wow, that is crazy, dude. That is crazy. Phil says maybe add some big. Ooh, we could try that. Maybe we'll try that. Do we have Bailey's here? I don't think I have Bailey's. You know, the Irish cream, the coffee liqueurs, I've never been like very big on buying coffee liqueurs or drinking coffee liqueurs because mainly I've never really liked drinking coffee. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I didn't grow up a coffee fan. I had to learn coffee. We'll have to put that on the list. No Kahlua. I don't have a Kahlua either. Yeah, any coffee liqueurs, I just don't have. Plus, also, I'm limited by what I can serve. Like, what I wish for was like, when you go to Southeast Asia, I don't know how it is in Bangkok, but at least in the Philippines, it's fairly liberal. Like, you don't have to go through all this. You don't have to go through so much rigmarole to serve alcohol. Like in America, it's really a pain. Like maybe you just like a taste of alcohol. Can't do that. Can't do that. Oh, so Dana says, I wonder how that Americano would be carbon. Oh, that would be interesting. So we could, I don't have the chargers. All I have are nitrogen chargers, and I don't know where we'll have to work on that. But yes, I think this could be carbonated. You could charge it, double charge it or single charge it in an ISI and then pump it out. That could be something kind of interesting. Absolutely. It's a good idea. Devin says, I think it has to do with retained moisture. So I wrap mine in aluminum foil and slow cook for about 1.5 hours, 325. Oh, are we talking about the coffee? Is that where? I'm sorry, Devin. I'm not following. What? Maybe I missed it all. Oh, here we go. Yeah. The sweet potato. Sorry, the sweet potato. Gotcha. Yeah. So I think it has to do with retained moisture. So I wrap mine in aluminum foil and slow cook for 1.5 hours. Yes. So I have to really do this, and I just basically bought a bunch of Japanese style sweet potatoes. I tossed them in the freezer, and I haven't really done anything with them. But that's what 1.5 hours, 325, 350 in the air fryer. Okay, so try it. Let me know what you think. They say it's supposed to make it really nice and creamy, the texture. So. And Dana says, when you say someone smokes cigars on Soy Cowboy, I'm wondering if we're talking. No code. I mean, quite literally, cigars. Basically, if you see a bunch of American and British guys what's the name of this bar? Okay, I'm going to look it up now. Bangkok. My internet here is slow. So let's see. I know I've tagged it so that I know exactly where I am. I know, saying things like this that, oh, I'm at, I go to, oh no, I didn't tag it. Saying things like I go to a soy cowboy or admitting that I would go to a soy cowboy is like fraught with like, it's fraught with all kinds of danger. But you know what? I don't do anything that I'm not I end up doing nothing that I'm ashamed of. So I'm all right with saying that. Now, I wish I could tell you. I think it's called something like a Paradise Lounge or like something to do like Jimmy Buffett kind of bar. Jungle Gyms. That's what it's called. Jungle Gym. There's a place called Jungle Gyms Pub on Soy Cowboy. So if you're walking from Ostok Station, that side of it, of Soy Cowboy, it's on the right, about halfway down. If you see a bunch of American guys or American and British guys hanging out smoking cigars, those are the guys that I sometimes will hang out with. Now, our Thai friends never go down there. Of course not, right? Why would they go there? That's not okay. And of course, when I was there last year, I'm hanging out with one of my really good friends. Like her and I have been friends since we were in college. Like we're really tight. And we went out to dinner with her family for her daughter's birthday of all things, right? And she's like, "Hey, I'll give you a ride wherever you need to go." And I was like, after the dinner, I was like, "Well, actually, can you join?" So I was going to meet the guys at Jungle Gym. So he's like, I was like, "Well, can you take me to Soy Cowboy?" She was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have cigars." And I was like, "All right, that's an embarrassing thing to have to admit to." It's like, yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Like I said, one moment it's Jungle Gyms on Soy Cowboy. The next moment it's in Horn Kempinski. Purple flesh sweet potato are the best. Ah, says Peter. Okay. Oh, that's. I think I just got the regular white with the red upstairs. And Kira says, I had the pleasure of showing around a blues guitarist, Brownie McGee. He told me to use bourbon to make sweet potato pie. It comes out great. Ooh, I really need to make some of this stuff. All right, what about the coffee liqueur? Okay, let's try that. We'll go. I'll go get some of that. I mean, we should use it because otherwise, I'm not really. Why do we even have it? All right, so we only have a little bit left, right? So let us. Here's our coffee liqueur. There it is. Fortified because we added sugar, and as you can see, it's still not fully. I don't shake it every day, but it's still not fully in solution, the sugar. But we'll add, how much should we add to this? Because we only have like maybe an ounce or 2 ounces left. We don't want to add the same amount. Let's just use a little bar spoon of it. And let's see how that turns out. As a percentage of the drink, it adds a little more fullness. It doesn't, in this ratio of like maybe 2 ounces and a spoonful, which would probably be like an ounce in a full glass, or maybe 3/4 of an ounce in this size serving, it doesn't materially change the experience. A little bit more fullness, maybe a little bit more body. Actually, you can start. I can feel a little bit of the alcohol, especially since it's now nearly 11 o'clock and I have not eaten at all today. So, that's quite pleasant. Maybe the question is, how would this fare as a replacement for that. It's meaning that we're going to take our shot glass. Let's do 30 mils, 1 ounce. We're doing 1 ounce. 1 ounce here. We're going to add this to that. Peter says, you don't want to blend coffee with coffee. Needs something contrasting. I hear you. I hear you. I think that in this case, I think that the actually, I think it just kind of rounded it out a little bit more. I thought that was a pleasant experience. But we're going to see about adding it to this. And can we float it on top? I don't know if I'm very good at floating things. No, I'm not very good at floating things. This is not working. It's just too heavy comparatively. It's a different visual experience. Actually kind of interesting as a visual experience, right? The liqueur has gone straight to the bottom. And actually let me snap a little photos of this. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's an interesting looking drink. Probably need to clean that camera. Okay. Now this is reversed of what we have. Like when we have the espresso and it's floating on top, you get more of the espresso and a little bit of the coconut water. In this case, because it's so heavy, it's falling completely to the bottom. So it's pretty much all coconut milk and none of this. So you're going to have this experience where you're going to have all liqueur at the end, which I don't think would be very enjoyable. So what we're going to do is I think in this case, we should stir it to combine it. Let's see. Because you might as well just be drinking shots of coffee liqueur otherwise. All right, so this, now that we've just suspended, it looks more like, at least in Filipino culture, it looks more like sago at gulaman, right? Which is this a drink. But let's see. This could be. Oh, I think I'm going to mix it a little bit more, dilute a little bit more. That 1 ounce is a little bit much. I think it's better as a espresso drink. Yeah, this is definitely a little more forceful, sweeter for sure because of the fortified liquor. This is the better drink. Yeah, more subtle, more nuanced. I think the complexity of the espresso really is expressed better in this drink than the coffee that we're using in this one. This coffee, of course, is different than this coffee. In this we're using our Pola Negra, which is an anaerobic fermented coffee that gives a lot of like a natural milkiness and sweetness to it. So where this one is designed to be more body, more cacao, more berry fruit. So different experience, right? Different experience. Dana says, I love me some anaerobic coffee, but not every day. I hear you. It's always nice to have a little bit of a change. But the one thing where I do think is where I tend to be, and maybe I'm just very pedestrian in my own personal taste, is that like this, the coffee that we make for the espresso, like I could drink our Americano every day because I like that simplicity or the basicness of the cacao with the nutty finish and a fruity kind of like undertone. I like that. I think that's something that I can drink daily without. I don't necessarily need to have like lots of fanfare all the time, but you know, again, like I said, I'm a little bit pedestrian in my personal choices, right? Sometimes I'll be a little bit simple. All right, well, we spent another hour making one drink. One of our commenters said that. I said that earlier, but one of our commenters on Friday was like, "You took an hour to make a drink." He's like, "Yeah, we're going to do it again. We got more hours, more drinks, more hours, less drinks to go." So, all right, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Oh, one thing that I should mention tomorrow. Tomorrow we will not be having a live stream. Tuesday, September 16th, 17th, there will be no live stream because I have to go for a certification class. I have to renew my ServSafe certification here in the United States, at least in my jurisdiction. If you're a food service safety manager, if you're a food service manager, you have to have ServSafe certification, which is this whole thing where you have to prove that you understand all aspects of food safety, as well as understanding what kind of foodborne diseases can affect your customer base and how to prevent those things. And so the national certification is every 5 years. The local certification, so meaning that while the National Safety Foundation gives us certification for 5 years, my jurisdiction here in Maryland only recognizes the first 3 years. So you have to renew every 3 years. And then you have to apply for your food manager's certificate from your local jurisdiction. So I have to go through all that tomorrow because mine has expired and I will not be given a license to operate if I don't have this certification. So we're heading out to get that certification tomorrow. That's going to take the whole day. And so no live stream tomorrow. Back again on Wednesday, the 18th, and we'll continue there. So thank you very much for tuning in. Always good to see all of you guys. And, always good to see the new gentlemen joining us, like Dana. And who else is with us today? Phil was with us. We're good to see you, Phil. And Peter, of course. Keone, as always, good to see you, man. Good to see you. And Bryant, good to see you up there in Queens. Devin Toro's new with us. And Devin Patel is always good to see you as well. And yeah. All right. So back again Wednesday. Hope you have a wonderful day out there if you're in our part of the world or in your part of the world, the other side of the planet. Hope you have a wonderful evening. And back again on Wednesday. Have a great one.